Hello there. I'll start again. I just tried to do this talk a few times, but the phone rang. But if it rings again, I'm not answering it. Because this is more important. And what this talk is about, what I want to talk about here, is well, it's part of a 4 episodes of talks I've been doing lately called "If You Want to Make a Change, Then Look into the Mirror," and this is part 4. And I'm not sure if I've used I don't think I've used a rainbow picture yet on them. I'm not sure. Um, but anyway, the rainbow is makes sense because what does the rainbow represent? Well, it represents all different energies. You know, different people are tuned into different chakras at the moment. Some are blocked, and it represents that. It also represents unity. If you look at the gay community, um, it represents oneness for them people, doesn't it? And in the gay community, you got all different types of people, and they're all oneness. If they go to a gay nightclub, I'm sure that it's a oneness situation because they're acceptance towards each other's differences. But to do this, to really be open like this, not judgmental. It starts by looking within yourself. Because how you see the world is based upon how you are within you, right? That's why, and also if you want to make change, if you want to change the world for the better, your energy is what impacts and affects other people. We think the world is physical, but as science has shown us, and it's a well documented science fact now, that everything is non-physical. It's all energy mashed together, a bit like ice. We know ice isn't physical, but it's cold air and water together produces a physical looking thing. But it's all energy. And so the best way you can change the world is through changing your energy. That's why I say the only people that have changed the world thus far are the people that have changed the energy. And the only people that have done that to the most are those in the world that have had spiritual awakenings. Just under 10 years ago, I had an unexpected spiritual awakening out of nowhere. I did nothing to get it. And those are the only people that have changed the energy. Because when you have a spiritual awakening, you've elevated, you've shifted, your consciousness now shifted to what is called the 5th dimension. Normal humans are in the 3rd dimension. When the 4th dimension is when you're aware of parallel things going on in your reality, but then the 5th dimension is this, like David Icke says, infinite love is the only truth, everything else is illusion. And that's like the 5th dimension. And we have to change the physicality of what's going on physically in the planet, or the happenings. You have to change the dimension that we're in. And so if you want to change the world, the number one thing you have to do is elevate your energy to the 5th dimension. And how do you do that? Well, it starts by having that spiritual awakening. And how do you do that? Well, the HeartMath Institute explains it. They talk about heart-based living, and that's really what's going on when you have that spiritual awakening. You're automatically, I didn't know what I was doing at this when I first started going through it, but because it was instinct. I had enough and I had an awakening out of nowhere. But what happened is I went within the heart vortex. In the heart is a vortex to like a heaven realm. And we all come from this heaven realm. And once you start doing that, you start understanding things and knowing things. Even the HeartMath Institute, which is a science-based thing, explains how that the heart knows, the head thinks, but the heart knows. And this energy of the heart, when you connect with it, you can actually tune into other people's heart spaces through it. And telepathy is actually a heart-based thing, not a head-based thing. Because all knowing comes from the heart area. And that's how you change yourself, right? Start to feel instead of think. Change your energy. Because, you see, the leftist attitude is an attitude of, I will change the world, but I'm not prepared to change myself. Well, all you're going to do then, your energy that's not healed is going to interact with others or even the internet, and you're going to create the same disharmony that you're in. And this is what disease is, dis-ease, disharmony. So, yeah, it's all about changing yourself, and we've got to look at the world and see what is it producing. Well, divide and rule is the name of the game, is it? You're always seeing it, and you're seeing it more and more now. It's more obvious. And divide and rule, it's oneness defeats all division. When we're oneness with each other, we become more open with each other, more acceptance towards differences. But division the idea is to prevent oneness. You see, the system wants division. And the reason the system wants division is because the force that's dictating it is an energetic force that everything comes from us, but we manifested through hurtful emotions, through a distorted consciousness system, and a demonic energy system that hangs at the top, feeding off fear and anxiety. And what is going on just now is a spiritual awakening, because people all around the world have had these unexpected spiritual awakenings. But it doesn't end there. You've got nearly the whole planet has to wake up spiritually. If you're not spiritually awakened, like my dad says to me, oh, we need violence. Well, that's not going to change the energy. If you're hurting another person, that other person is getting hurt through you, and they forever want to get you back for that. So you're not actually healing them, and vice versa, they're not healing you. So you're not healing the energy. What this planet needs is healing right now. So how does that start? Well, it starts by looking within yourself. It's like a relationship. In any relationship, you've got to look within yourself. You can't just blame the other. And that's what so many of the sheeple are doing. They want to do anything but go within. Anything but change their energy. Because what we are not aware of is that the world isn't out there, it's within here, it's within ourselves. We create it from what we feel within ourselves. So we create the planet's energy field by our feelings and emotions. So first, if you want to make, that's why I say, if you want to make a change, go and look into the mirror. If you're not doing that, then if you're not changing yourself, then how do you expect to change the world? But the leftist attitude is, I am anti-fascist, yet fascist themselves. I'm anti-racist, but racist themselves. You see? Or I'll be violent, but the system's violent, but I'm going to be violent. Well, that means the system's a bunch of fascists, but if you're doing it also, then you're the fascist also. You see? But my dad and other people, leftists, aren't aware that they're actually dishing out that they're actually behaving like the people that they say they're against. You see, you make change by being an example of what to be, right? One of my films that I watched when I was a kid growing up, and even now, is Superman. And what did Superman do? Well, he was an example of what to be, right? All the great people are examples of what to be. If you're not being an example of what to be, then you're being an example of what not to be. And you're creating a big problem. And what not to be is something that is a destructive energy, and that's someone that's violent or hateful. If you're being like what you're saying you're against, then you're not making change. You're not making good change. You're making change for the worst. Do you know we've had protests since the 16th century? We've had protests, and look where we are now. The world is at its worst ever state. That's why it used to annoy me when people used to, wear the poppies for the soldiers, because I knew that we weren't free, and the sheeple couldn't see it. But talking about war, well, John Lennon, spoke about it. The system knows how to fight violence. That's the thing. Well, you can't beat them at violence because they know how to fight violence. They just take in some of their tanks and their frequencies, and you're on your knees, right? They're proper experts at that. But what the system doesn't know how to fight against, and this is what John Lennon said, was non-compliance, non-violently. That's what the system does not know how to deal with. Like, I watch a doctor on YouTube called Dr. Rashid Buttar. He's healed autistic people and cancer patients. And he said, if we're not complying, what are they supposed to do about it? The mayor of New York said that. He said, we're banking on the people complying. Right? We've got to look, we all know, regardless of what we might say, we all know that these politicians don't give a two shits about us. Right? We know this. Right? Stop burying your head in the sand, pay attention to what's going on, and understand that you can only make a difference. You've got to act. You've got to change what you're doing. That's why the Buddhists talk about nothing, about doing nothing. They would say do nothing, and why? Well, because when you do nothing, imagine if the whole everyone was to do nothing. What could they do? You couldn't possibly control them, right? Oh my God, imagine that. Right? And that's that's almost like a non-violent takeover. Very powerful. And this is how, but when you're doing nothing, like I say, in nothingness, stillness, you instantly meditate, and that's how you heal yourself at the max. So it might sound very spiritual, but what we must do just now is meditate. And that's how you transcend the way you are now to a higher state of consciousness. And if we all do that, we become a collective consciousness, a collective oneness consciousness, where love is the power. And that really is what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the revolution of love. And it all starts with you, forgiveness towards others, which ends up being what develops into love for others, starts within you. You have to forgive yourself first. You have to look within you first. So that's what it really means to go within, and that's what we must do if we want real change. Because remember, it's all energy. And you can only change an energy field, a planet, by changing the energy of that planet. So the most energy you can change at this moment in time is your own energy. You can't change someone's energy simply by just talking to them. You only change their energy by your energy interacting with it, because energy interacts with other energies. It impacts and affects it. And that's how we make change. So like I say, if you want to make a change, then look into the mirror. And I'm just going to leave it there. For latest updates, videos, new information, I have a website. My website is www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you for watching and listening to my talks and videos.